Three, two, one.
That's right. The Fantasy Football Happy Hour is back for season 2. And the best news is Ricky and I will be coming to you live on Sunday mornings this season, which means you can roll right into the games with the freshest of our takes. Hopefully, it'll be good takes for our sit start, games of the week, and your best bets. But before we get started in our regular format, which we'll jump into starting Labor Day weekend, I am doing some quick videos running through my preview of each division in the NFL, division by division. If you've been following along on the site each day since August 1st, I've been doing a different team preview going in order from the AFC West through the NFC East. Those will wrap up on September 3rd with my predictions for the playoffs. So go to the site if you want more in-depth reports. But here is a quick snapshot of my feeling on the NFC West. We start with the guys that were on top of the division last year, and that is the San Francisco 49ers. They finished 13-4, lost memorably in the NFC Championship game. They really made the most out of having Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant in the 2022 draft, came on and never lost a start until he hit the NFC Championship game, a game where he got injured and knocked out. He is back. He actually played in preseason week 2 and looks good. Sam Darnold is there and has been solidified as the number 2 quarterback. So you might be asking what happens to Trey Lance, who was the starter to start last season. Well, turns out on Friday, he was dealt to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th-round pick, where he will probably be a third-string quarterback for Dallas. Interesting move, but we know we have the Brock Purdy era, and you know what's even better? The 49ers have one of the most impressive set of offensive fantasy skill position weapons. Christian McCaffrey is there. They also have Elijah Mitchell behind him, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, a couple of great wide receivers, and George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in football. It might be frustrating week to week because it's doubtful that all 4 of those guys can perform at an elite level week in and week out, but they are all still worth rostering and great plays to have on the team. I still like Christian McCaffrey again this year. What can't he do? He had a passing touchdown, receiving touchdown, rushing touchdown last year. I think he's going to be one of the top 5 running backs. I love having him in there. And I actually like Brock Purdy. I think he'll be a solid QB2 this year. The 49ers have an incredible defense. I think they're going to win the NFC West again this year. And I think they are going to be one of the leading contenders in the NFC vying for the Super Bowl. Second place team last year was the Seattle Seahawks. They finished 9-8, lost in the wild card round to the 49ers. They played really above preseason projections last year. I was one of those who didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, who thought they were going to struggle through a losing season. But Geno Smith really took off, ended up being QB6 for fantasy last year, and locked up a long-term contract. This offseason, they got him a slick new weapon in Jackson Smith-Njigba, who unfortunately has a wrist injury and will likely miss a little bit of the beginning of the season, and another running back in Zach Charbonnet to pair with Ken Walker III to give them a great option there. They also still have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They have a pretty incredible offense, still have tight end Noah Fant. Very impressive. But you know what? They faded a little bit down the stretch last year after getting off to a hot start, which is why they kind of barely made the playoffs. I think that's probably about right for them this year. 8 to 10 wins is what makes sense for me. I think they probably end up around 9 wins again. They'll be in the wild card race. I think they're still going to be hanging around as a contender, but I don't know that they're going to be a super team. It'll be interesting to watch, though. I like JSN long-term for Dynasty, but I think it's still probably going to be a good season for Tyler Lockett in 2023. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams finished 3rd in the division, only 5-12, an abysmal showing coming off a year in which they won the Super Bowl. And you know what? They're still in the midst of a transition. They've let a lot of pieces go, but they still have Matthew Stafford, they still have Cooper Kupp, and they still have Aaron Donald. The team is also still coached by Sean McVay, and all 3 of those guys are projected to be healthy when they start the season. So what does that mean for this Rams team? Well, can they get a lot out of Cam Akers, who is going to be kind of the wide receiver too? I think one of the sneaky fantasy plays here is tight end Tyler Higbee, who was actually a top 10 option last year and probably the second most reliable receiver on this team behind Cooper Kupp. I still have questions. Can Matthew Stafford stay healthy and in there all season? Will we get to see rookie Stetson Bennett? He was actually a guy who I was picking up late in Superflex rookie drafts just because I think there's a chance that he ends up getting to play. We saw that happen last year. The Rams are not the team that won the Super Bowl in 2021, but I think it's impossible to count them out when you still have Stafford, Kupp, Donald, and Sean McVay. I think their win range is probably a huge range of outcomes between 6 and 10 wins. I tend to think they're probably going to be more in that 8 or 9 win range. I think they'll be competing with the Seahawks for second place in the division. They could make a late push for the playoffs. I just don't think they're an incredible team. I wouldn't be surprised if they miss the playoffs again and they continue on this sort of rebuild path next offseason. Finally, we come to the Arizona Cardinals. They came off a playoff appearance in 2021 and finished 4-13, dead last in the division last year. They really collapsed. Kyler Murray was not vibing with Cliff Kingsbury. They were fighting on the sideline. Then he tore his ACL in December. They started with DeAndre Hopkins having a suspension. They never really got into a groove. Cliff Kingsbury is gone. Jonathan Gannon is in. We don't know when or if we're going to see Kyler Murray. My personal feeling is Kyler Murray tore his ACL in December. This is not going to be a good Cardinals team. They've already moved on from Hopkins, who's now in Tennessee. They've started trading off defensive pieces as well. I don't think they intend to play Murray this year. That's probably why they went and made a 5th-round pick to get Josh Dobbs, because they're going to play some combination of Colt McCoy, rookie Clayton Tune, and Josh Dobbs this season. I think the Cardinals are playing for the number 1 overall pick. This could be sort of the end of the Kyler Murray era in Arizona. I guess we will see, but I have zero expectations for the Cardinals. I think they are going to be in for another miserable season, which is a real bummer for their fans, but maybe they will have better luck being able to flip some of this roster over more in 2024. I wouldn't be surprised if they move on from Zach Ertz. I think they're going to focus on younger players like Trey McBride. They still have Marquise Hollywood Brown. They might be fun to watch sometimes, but I don't think they're going to be very good. So I suspect they are going to be near the bottom of the league. That is my take on the NFC West. If you have any thoughts on the NFC West, be sure to leave those in the comments, and be sure to check out our site if you want to see more full-length previews for each team. That does it for the NFC West. I will be back soon with a look at the AFC North. Until then, take it easy.